What is good, guys? It is Spill here, and welcome back to another NBA 2K Lab video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Pro Toon builds and go over all the point guards and rank them in the tier list from worst to best. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications, and let's get right into it. Starting with the outside scoring archetypes, we have the mid-range assassin, and I'm going to put this one in the B tier because it is a solid build but lacks defense and has a lower 3-point rating than I would typically want on a smaller point guard. It does have great shooting badges thanks to the high midi and gold layup mixmaster, but no driving dunk does hurt the value of this build. Next, we have the playmaking marksman, and for this archetype, I'm putting it in the S tier because of the Hall of Fame shooting badges with that 97 3-point rating. This build still has a solid layup and unlocks all dribble animations and elite dribble styles. The defense is still pretty low for my liking, but decent speed and agility with that 3-point rating puts this build in the S tier. Next, we have the sniper guard, and in my opinion, this is an A tier build with that 99 3-point rating, giving you all the legend shooting badges. And then you also get the goal playmaking badges as well. Finishing is still decent with an 85 layup, and elite dribble sigs will make you feel like the chef himself. Moving on to the playmaking archetypes, we have the creator build, and this is more of a C tier build in my opinion for the fact that there's no defense, low dunk, and only a decent layup. The pass accuracy is great, but 97 seems just a little too high in terms of value, so it's tough to recommend this build. Next up, we have the ISO King, and strictly based off the name ISO King, this archetype should be high in the tier list, but it's plagued by a low 3-point and low mid-range rating with minimal defense. Now, the ball handle is extremely high for legend playmaking badges, and you do get contact dunks, but to me, this is a fringe B to A tier build. And then we have the micro magician build, and this is another B tier build in my opinion. It's pretty middling in most areas, and with only silver shooting badges at 6'3", I have to knock this build down some points. Pass accuracy does look a little too high, but I do like the ball handle, and 85 driving dunk is nice, but there's better builds available. Next, we have the shifty sniper build, and this is an S tier build due to the mix of Hall of Fame playmaking badges and gold shooting badges. The pass accuracy and playmaking threshold seem just right, and while I'm still not a fan of the low defense, the playmaking and shooting should be able to make up for it. Moving on to our defense archetypes, we have the pesky defender build in the A tier because while it's not a prototypical point guard, it has Hall of Fame defensive badges to annoy opposing ball handlers, but can still run the point guard spot with sufficient playmaking and contact dunks. Plus, I love the speed, agility, and strength on this build, which is why I have it in the A tier. It's very well rounded. Next up is the triple stopper build, and I'm putting this one into the C tier because this might be one of the worst of all the PGs we've seen. Nothing really stands out besides somewhat high defense, and the rest of the build seems to be lacking. It is a bit taller at 6'7", which is why it gets less attributes, which is another reason why it's in the C tier. Not to fear though, because the two-way general build actually looks to be the most well-rounded PG, at least one of them out of all the Pro Toon builds. With gold posterizer, small contact dunks, gold defensive badges, and even Hall of Fame lightning launch with great speed and agility makes this build an easy choice for the S tier. And then we have our balanced archetypes, and another Pro Toon build in the S tier is the complete guard. This build is solid in all areas with elite playmaking, all-around defense, a great 3-point shot, contact dunks, and gold layup mixmaster. This build has everything to be a great point guard. Next, we have the dynamic point build, and I would have made this an S tier build but dropped it to an A because of the 5'11" height. But everything else on this build is pretty elite, and if you don't mind sacrificing that height, this build can get access to some great badges. And then lastly, in the balanced archetypes, we have the two-way specimen build, and I put this in the B tier because it is a taller build that's decently well-rounded, but it gets no Hall of Fame badges and only gold playmaking badges. Now, our last archetype is inside scoring, and the first build name we have is the Airborne Ace, and I'm going to put this build in the B tier. Now, this build does have 99 driving dunk with legend posterizer, and don't get me wrong, it looks like a fun build, but 99 dunk is just too high when you could be getting similar dunks with a lower attribute. A low 3-point rating at 6'4" also hurts this build, as well as the low defense, which is why I have it in the B tier. Next is the dunk magician build, and this is another B tier build, but it's still solid. There's just nothing that jumps out to me besides the gold posterizer. This next build is called the gritty guard, and it's not looking too good, which is why it makes the C tier with flying colors. Now, the highest attribute is an 87 driving dunk, which does give this build contact dunks, but everything else is fairly low, giving this build a very low ceiling. And on to our last inside scoring build and the last build in the tier list, we have the Air Artist. This is an A tier build due to the very well-rounded stats from top to bottom, and you get small contact dunks, gold posterizer, gold interceptor, and elite playmaking, so this build is not lacking. If this build had at least an 89 3-point rating, I'd consider moving it into the S tier, but overall, this is still a great build. When it comes to these Pro Toon builds, they all meet good badge thresholds, and while some are better than others, they do seem to have something for everyone. Now, that's all we got for this video. Drop a like and comment if you guys want to see more tier lists for these Pro Toon builds. Thanks for watching. It's been Spill, and I'm out. Later.